Oh boy. Rest in peace to somebody. What a dooski, guys. It's Phil34 here with my Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 16, Last Day on Earth review. I just gotta start off by saying, guys, the cliffhangers. Why? This is most definitely going to be probably the biggest gripe that a lot of people have with the finale. I went on AMC's channel and they posted a video of the final scene in the finale and it had a lot of dislikes, so that's just an indicator as to how many fans felt about that finale. I can't help but feel like they cheated us, you know? Like, I'm not really mad, but I'm just disappointed. Like, in all seriousness, like this whole entire season, we've been leading up to this one moment where we finally are introduced to this menacing character that has all these goons working for him. And then when we get to it, it's just a POV to the final, hit. But don't get me wrong. In all honesty, I thought everything revolving around the scene and the introduction of Negan was perfect. I loved it. It was executed excellently, and honestly, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Negan. Like, he is. Like, and I know this is just a tidbit for Season 7 and more of Negan, but from what we got so far, guys, I think he did a phenomenal job, and he's so charismatic, and the way that they adapted him from the comic book to the television show, I thought it was really well done. It's not too charismatic where he's like unrealistic, but it's a good sense of like, wow, this guy's actually freaking menacing. Like, he'll bash your brains in with a baseball bat with barbed wire around it. But that ending, ugh. If I had to choose my preferable way they ended it, it would have been like seeing shots of the gang, just all sobbing and crying. And then it just cuts to Negan and it's just a picture of his head with blood getting on his face, and then some shots from the behind his back just whack it at this skull. I think that would have been better in all honesty. And we get to see, obviously, we hear who it is or we see who it is instead of the way they ended it off. And the worst part is, we don't know who it is. Come on, guys. Like, we've been waiting this long. Come on, Scott Gimple. Like, come on, fam. If I had to put my money on it, though, I think they're gonna stay close to the source material, and I think the person getting the bat. Spoilers, in case you haven't read the comics or you just haven't been looking at the internet recently. Go away. Go away. You're gone. Glenn, guys. I think it's actually going to be Glenn from the comic books. I get you want to get us excited for Season 7, but I think many people are going to act negatively to this finale, how it ended. I think at least showing us the identity would have been a better way of ending off the season. Anyway, that is my little rant on that. Now I'm going to talk about the rest of the episode as a whole. Pretty much this episode is split up into two parts. The first part is pretty much Rick and the gang, the survivors, are going off to go find medical attention for Maggie at the hilltop. Along the way, they encounter a bunch of roadblocks from Negan's men, and then that leads to the second part of this episode, which is pretty much Morgan and Carol on a little side adventure. I'm going to just talk about some things in general that I thought were effective and some things that weren't the most effective. First off, I thought the way that they structured this episode and what they wanted to tell this story was really cool. I found the storytelling interesting, how they kept bouncing back between Rick and then Carol, and then they would go back to like, this little black shot with this light coming in with obviously Daryl, Michonne, and etc. That will connect to the end of the episode. I thought that was really interesting. Although I did have problems with how realistic this situation was, I thought the idea of Rick and the gang, coming back to Negan and his men, like, constantly, like, all these roadblocks was really interesting. It was just so compelling to see Rick just realize slowly and slowly that, he's not gonna come out on top this time. Like, he's not. Like, he has no necks to bite, he has no people to shoot, like, he's done. Like, literally, in the first encounter with Negan's men in this episode, Rick's talking up big back to these people, and then slowly and slowly as the episode goes on, he realizes, like, I'm screwed, and you see in his face, he's like, I'm shitting myself. I thought it was great to see the change throughout the episode. Another thing that I really liked about this episode was the intensity. From beginning to end, I was just like on the edge of my seat, just wondering like what's gonna happen. I didn't know when things were gonna change. I didn't know who was gonna die. I didn't know what was gonna happen exactly. Even though I had read the comic book, I was still really eager to see what was gonna happen. Even in some of the scenes that weren't the most crazy at times, like Morgan and Carol, they're just talking, in the back of my mind I'm thinking like, okay, is something gonna happen? Also, a big part of that is the person who scored this episode. I want to give a big kudos to you because you really helped make this episode feel that level of intensity that it did, so thank you. Performance wise, I thought everyone else did solid. Rick with his, I'm shitting myself face when everything's going downhill. I also thought that Morgan, Carol, Eugene, and Abraham, actually, those four characters actually had their moments to shine, especially, Eugene and Abraham, when, Eugene, we see how far he's gone as a character, and Abraham's finally accepting him, saying, like, I should have let you drove the truck, and all this stuff. It was really great to see those brotherly moments. And the moments between Carol and Morgan when they're just talking, and Carol's like, just let me die, and Morgan's like, no, I have to save you. Man, those are some really impactful moments. It's just crazy to see how these characters have changed from, even the beginning of the season until now. Even with Morgan, like, he went from pacifist Jedi Morgan to, bust a whole entire clip to your face Morgan by the end of this episode. One of the gripes that I did have was Morgan killing the guy. I get him killing the guy makes what Carol was saying more impactful and meaningful, but I think he could have went about it in a non-lethal way. Also, the dudes who saved Carol and Morgan in the episode, that's a solid setup for, storylines in Season 7, so look forward to that. One thing that did bother me, but this is more of like a nitpick in all honesty, everything worked out so perfectly and like quickly. I mentioned how I liked it early in this video, but Negan's men, you know, being at every single spot at the right time. Even thinking about it, you know, Daryl just got caught by Dwight not too long ago in the time frame in the show, and how they all communicated and managed to get to the right spots at the right time. I don't know, it just seemed a little bit unrealistic to me. I get the fact they're trying to get the point across that, you know, Negan's men are clever. There's a lot of them, so they have enough people to do it, but it just seemed like it would be a lot of time to get these things done. Like, even when Eugene had a solid plan about, you know, I'll drive the truck out and you guys, you know, walk through the forest or whatever to get to the hilltop, even that got thwarted because, you know, oh, they happen to be at the right area of the forest at the right time. You're just like, eh. That's just some minor nitpicks, but ultimately it led for great tension and intensity throughout the entire season finale. Overall, guys, I enjoyed the finale of The Walking Dead Season 6. Although there were some convenient instances in the plot, and you know, the ending was a cliffhanger that sure pissed off a lot of fans, I thought it was a very intense episode, and we finally get to meet the man, the myth, the legend himself, Negan. I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode an 8 out of 10. I didn't think it was the best season finale of The Walking Dead, but it was hella entertaining, and the Negan bits were just so good. So guys, who do you think died in this episode? Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget, leave a like and subscribe if you have not already, guys. Also, be sure to check out my reaction video if you haven't already, and a prediction video that's gonna come out right after this. Sorry if I'm talking like really low, my voice sounds weird. I'm sick and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway guys, I will see you next time